Hello YouTube, Robert Alvarez, the Psychic Witch, also known as Mr. Lighting and a Fan. Right now the time is approximately 8:35 p.m. and the current date is Thursday, August 17th, 2017. So this is going to be a multi-topic video. First, I'm going to talk about my 3 beautiful cats who you saw at the beginning of the video. Then I'm going to talk about something that falls into the category of show and tell. And then I'm going to talk about something very serious. This video might or might not be more than 20 minutes long. I will apologize to you if it is. I've been doing my best to keep my videos as short and sweet as possible, but sometimes that doesn't happen. And yeah, so sorry. My awesome audiovisual person has this knack for distracting me in the most unusual ways. I'll spank him later. But that would be another kind of video. So first things first, let me acknowledge my newest YouTube channel subscribers. They are, and I love this name, Beautiful Strange. Isn't that cool? Beautiful Strange. Femnora Westcar. I love that. It's like so unique. Femnora Westcar. I love it. And Christine Gersbang. Now here's the interesting thing. Every once in a while, I will receive a notification that says that I have a new YouTube channel subscriber, and that new YouTube channel subscriber is not new to me. In fact, according to, and believe it or not, I keep all of those emails. Every email that says you have a new YouTube channel subscriber, I keep them. I don't need to, but I like it. I keep it. So I have one that says that Christine Gersbang has been a new YouTube channel subscriber for a few weeks, and one since last year. But you know what? Every time I receive a notification that states that I have a new YouTube channel subscriber, I'm going to acknowledge that. So there you go. So those are my 3 new YouTube channel subscribers. Thank you very much. May you enjoy this, my YouTube channel, the one of Robert Alvarez, the Psychic Witch, and may it bring you peace, health, and plenty. Now, the reason why we began the video with my 3 cats, especially Isis, the alpha female, is because today is August 17th, and today is National Black Cat Appreciation Day. So we began with Isis, who is the alpha female. She has been with me the longest. She is the oldest of my 3 cats. She is a Black Burmese that has a white locket, because it's right in the neck area, and she has what one of my clients calls white panties. Isis is not very fond of my awesome audiovisual person, which is ironic because virtually everybody that I know that also knows him thinks he's wonderful. However, Isis, the alpha female, loves and adores my awesome audiovisual person's mother. So every once in a while, if let's say his mother said hello to Isis through Facebook Messenger video, or just an audio call, or if she comes here on the rare occasion that she comes here, then Isis, the alpha female, will give my awesome audiovisual person a free pass. But we have established that Isis really loves my awesome audiovisual person, and for whatever reason she wants to be cunty. Oops! I meant crotchety. Crotchety. I meant crotchety, not cunty. Oops! I keep saying that word. I don't know why. Anyway, so yeah, so Isis is the alpha female, and she is a formidable goddess, as the French would say, formidable, but the American English version is formidable. She is a formidable goddess, and she is a formidable alpha female. Then we went to Durga, who's so cute. she's Durga the Kitten. She's also known as Durga the Tabby Tigress, Spider Cat or Spidey Cat, and then of course when she's misbehaving, Chica, which made her retreat under the table and made everybody on the floor of my apartment building wonder who's getting reprimanded and for what. She is Heather Gray Tabby. She has what I call French manicured paws because the very tips of her paws, where the claws are, have a different color than the rest of the paw. And she has an underbelly that goes from being white to off-white to cream. She is my second rescued stray. And then you also saw Corey the Calico, who is the most docile cat I have ever known, I have ever met, I have ever encountered. Corey is the least vocal of my 3 cats. Isis, the alpha female, of course, is the most vocal. And Corey is just a sweetheart. She is a sweetheart. Because she is the most quiet of my 3 cats, calling her name don't do shit. It's like if she's hiding someplace, I will need to wait until she comes out or until the other 2 say, tell me exactly where she is. So then there's that. But yes, and because it is National Black Cat Appreciation Day, I am wearing all black. Even my socks, well, they're primarily black. They have a little bit of gray and a little bit of purple. Let me see if I'm gonna stick my foot up in the air. Do they see it? Okay. So you can see the purple on the side and the gray at the top, but it's primarily black. Okay. Slouching is not my forte. So other than that, I'm wearing all black in honor of National Black Cat Appreciation Day. So that's the first part of this video. So the second part is what I'm calling show and tell. So earlier, one of my favorite YouTube channel subscribers, Mary Burrell, had asked me a question, and I forgot to include the question, the answer in one of my comments to reply to one of her comments. So this is Cafe Bustelo. This is a staple in many a Latin American household, especially a Cuban household, or a Caribbean household like Cuban, Puerto Rican, etc. So I happen to love Cafe Bustelo. This is the interesting thing, because as I've stated in many of my previous videos, I used to poo-poo coffee, and I used to poo-poo instant coffee. This is not only cafe. This is a whole separate animal. This is not coffee. This is cafe. This is cafe instantáneo. This is instant speed. One of my friends calls this kind of coffee speed, and I will tell you. Interesting story. So something that's typically consumed in a Cuban restaurant is called a cortadito. A cortadito is a very small cup of cafe. Un cafecito is the other term for it. And primarily in Cuban restaurants it's called a cafecito. In other Latin American restaurants it's called un cortadito. And it basically implies something small. So, so I remember one night I needed to do something, and I said to myself, you know what, let me see if I can make myself a cafecito, and that'll give me like a burst of energy. Boy, did it ever. So, let me see. So, let me just use this water bottle as an example. So, basically, so I love Melissa, who's one of Catland's co-owners, or as I lovingly refer to her, marvelous and multi-talented Melissa, and she had made these 2 mugs, 2 little small mugs, and this little coaster and this little bowl in her pottery sessions. And I think the mug was about this size. So basically, I put 2 big spoonfuls of sugar at the bottom, and then I added the Cafe Bustelo first, stirred it up. Then I added 2 heaping teaspoons of that, stirred that up. Speed times 9. Yeah, I was like, and man, all of a sudden I was literally falling asleep. And this and the 2, mind you, it was only like this size, like around this size. Boy, did that wake me up. Like I said, speed times 9. So I wanted to show you Cafe Bustelo. You want to make me happy? Give me one of these. Give me a few of these because we're running low. The other thing that I wanted to show you is this. I mentioned in my Journals and Decks videos that I had begun a new cycle of John Randolph Price's 40-Day Prosperity Plan. This is the book. This is the Abundance book by John Randolph Price. This is published by Hay House. This is the book that has the details for the 40-Day Prosperity Plan. I do recommend reading this book and reading that section first to get a better grasp of the 40-Day Prosperity Plan. I know that there is at least one YouTube channel content creator who has done videos about her own journey with the 40-Day Prosperity Plan. I actually am long overdue to watch all 40 of them. She promised she would do one for every day. And I think that would be a great motivation. If I can find it in the next day or two, I will link it in the description box. Hi. And there's Isis. Are you hungry? I bet you're hungry. But I'm doing a video right now. You want to come on my lap? That would make me so happy. No, because you don't want to be on camera. See what I mean? Anyway. So I do recommend this book as a great guideline for working with the 40-Day Prosperity Plan. You don't have to buy the book, and I'm not selling the book, but I do recommend reading the book cover to cover. It's a very short read. I mean, I remember finishing this in, wow. It's, the book is 83 pages, although if you include all the other pages, it's 86. 83, 84, 85, 86. You can finish this in like an hour or two, or three. Definitely a day. But I do recommend reading it carefully and thoroughly. Okay, so I'm going to have a sip of my Cafe Bustelo, and then I'm going to go to the next part of this video. Okay, so one of my other favorite YouTube channel subscribers is Swan of Dreamers, and I have the honor and pleasure of spending time with her personally. I have the honor and pleasure of being relatively geographically close to her so that we can have what I call sacred play dates, which is a term that I actually learned from Doreen Virtue, and specifically through her Magical Mermaids and Dolphins Oracle cards, which I need to use again now that I think about it. But the fact of the matter is that the last time that we had a sacred play date, it was actually 2 or 3 weeks ago today. It was on Thursday, July 27th, 2017. And one of the things that she brought up was that there are a lot of clients, there are a lot of people that have been traumatized by professional psychics. And since, actually before I go into this topic, I want to check with my awesome audiovisual person that I'm not approaching the 20-minute mark, and you will let me know? You should. Okay. Isis, I'm in the middle of a video, but if you want to be in the video, come on out. Huh? You want to be in the video? She just looks at me. Come on, come on. Come on, come on, you can come. Come on. I'd lift you up, but we know what would happen. Come on. Come on, honey. You know, be in the video with me. How's that? You don't want to be in the video with me? No, you don't. Okay. Well, you know, if you're going to hiss, then you're not going to be in the video, because they already saw you hissing at the beginning. Oh, she stalks like a pantheress, but still. So, one of the things that we talked about was that there are a lot of people that have been traumatized by psychics, and I apologize, I'm kind of like shifting around And I'm going to make sure that I'm in center. Okay. You know, I first of all, I want to thank Swan of Dreamers for bringing this to my attention. That's number one. And number two, I feel divinely guided to make this a 3-part series of videos. And the fact of the matter is that I don't think that everything that I need to talk about regarding people being traumatized by professional psychics can be covered in one video. So this is going to be a 3-part series. I'm going to backtrack a little bit and say that back in June 2006, I remember having the honor and pleasure of participating in Doreen Virtue's Goddesses and Angels workshop. And I remember that she had shared a prayer that day. And the prayer was asking the angels that everybody who was going to travel to participate in that workshop arrive safe and sound. She was concerned because it had begun to rain that day. Now, I love Doreen Virtue, but Doreen Virtue is accustomed to living in California and living in Hawaii. She's not accustomed to living on the East Coast. Rain is more common in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania than it is in California and Hawaii. You know, the rain that day was very minute. It was nowhere near torrential. It was infrequent. It was not steady. I understood where she was coming from. And it's because of that angel prayer that I modified my own angel prayer. And the angel prayer that I use with regards to my professional psychic practice is that I ask the angels, and I ask all other celestial beings that I love and adore, including goddesses, gods, etc., that if there is anyone who would receive divine blessings from my psychic services, that they be divinely guided to contact me now. And I know, Isis, but we've already had this chat. I love you, but we know what's happening right now. Okay? Okay. And furthermore, I ask the angels and all these other celestial beings that whoever would receive divine blessings from my psychic services, that they not only be divinely guided to contact me now, but they also be provided with everything they need to do so, including but not limited to money, time, transportation, childcare, etc. That particular angel prayer works very well for me. And I have said it before, and I will happily say it again. Every time I use that angel prayer, it works. It's when I don't use it that it doesn't work. The other thing is that using that angel prayer gives me a great deal of peace of mind, and it gives me a great deal of mental and spiritual focus. Because this is how I look at it. If someone is divinely guided to contact me after I make that angel prayer, and they contact me, then they're following their divine guidance. If they don't contact me, it's because of one of two reasons. Either A, they would not receive divine blessings from my psychic services, or B, they're ignoring their divine guidance. Now, there could be other extenuating circumstances, but mental health is a very valuable and it's a very fragile thing. So for me to think about, well, why is this person calling me for a reading? No, I don't even have the luxury to begin to entertain that kind of thought. I don't have the luxury to even begin to pretend that I have all the free time in the world to even begin to go down that path. I don't have it. I simply don't have that kind of free time. So I don't even begin to move down that path. I keep thinking it's approaching 20 minutes, but I'm not sure. Okay. Okay. So I needed to say that in the beginning because unfortunately I also need to consider the possibility that I also need to consider the possibility that some people are not contacting me for a reading because they've been traumatized by a professional psychic. And I must admit, this is still a new topic for me because I really don't encounter a lot of clients that have these kinds of issues. If they have these issues, they haven't shared them with me, and they went with their divine guidance, which was stronger than whatever fear or trauma they might have had. So this is new territory for me. But Swan of Dreamers is somebody that I trust very, very much. And I remember several years ago, she said to me, you know, I wish you would lead a class on psychic self-defense and spiritual protection. And I did. And when she brought this up on our sacred play date, you know, she was, I don't remember who said it first. Either I said, you know, maybe I should do a video about this. Maybe I said that first, or maybe she said, you know what, I would love if you did a video about this. So this is still new territory for me. I don't know all the ins and outs, but the first thing that I feel divinely guided to say to you, and I'm speaking particularly to those of you who have been traumatized by a professional psychic, we're not all like that. I know that's easy for me to say because I'm a professional psychic, but we're not all like that. And unfortunately, I've never been a fan of absolutes, and I've never been a fan of racism and prejudice and bigotry. And I don't need to point out what's been happening these last few weeks, these last few months, these last few years. I'm not even, you know what, I'm not even going to blame number 45 about the amounts of racism, because you know what? Something is always going to happen that's going to give racists and bigots and people that are prejudiced carte blanche to say and do whatever they want to do. That's just how it is. I am part of a minority, so I have an awareness of this, and sometimes even I forget, you know. And the fact of the matter is that I may look very light-skinned, but I'm not white. I don't consider myself white at all, especially considering that, number one, I'm not a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Number two, I'm Latin American, specifically Cuban. Number three, my late maternal grandmother's late maternal grandmother was a black woman. Black as this, or close to it. And number four, I'm gay. And let's not even begin to acknowledge, and let's not even go, let me begin that. And then of course there's the fact that I'm a happily recovered Catholic, meaning I'm not a Christian, I'm not a Catholic, I'm a witch. I practice the art and craft of the wise, the religion that is more commonly known as Wicca. So, you know, I've joked that if I was in Nazi Germany, they wouldn't have even bothered experimenting on me. They would have just thrown me in the kiln. They would have grabbed me and just like, ahoy, or whatever the German equivalent of ahoy is. And they would have just thrown me in the kiln. So, you know, whether I like it or not, I am not white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. And I actually love the fact that I'm multiracial, and that I'm Latin American, and that I'm gay, and that I have no desire nor any interest in passing for white or pretending to be white. But the fact of the matter is that not all psychics are the same. Not all black people are the same. Not all white people are the same. Not all witches are the same. Not all redheads are the same. Not all people that are brunettes are the same. Not all Christians are the same. Not all everything are not the same. And unfortunately, there are people that are professional psychics that do not have integrity, that make things up, that are not very clear on how to properly serve a client. And that's just how it is. Right now, that is a reality. I don't like that reality, but they didn't consult me. You know what? And I know that that seems like a cop-out, and I feel like I say that too often, but Unfortunately, there are people that are not consulting me about things. They didn't consult me when they wanted to cancel Sense8. You know what my answer would have been? No. They didn't consult me about turning this country into a monarchy. They didn't ask me if I want to be king of the world. You know? But seriously, if you have been traumatized by a psychic in the past, part of me wants to apologize on behalf of those professional psychics that traumatized you, and part of me doesn't. Because the part of me that wants to is the part of me that's compassionate and caring and nurturing. The part of me that doesn't want to because I'm not one of those psychics. I'm not interested in traumatizing people. I'm not interested in traumatizing people in any way, shape, or form. I'm interested in being direct, honest, and upfront, and I have no problem being blunt when necessary. And I have had some clients, I've needed to be blunt with them. And I'm not interested in making things up. I'm the first one to tell a client if there is something that I see or that I sense with less than 100% clarity. If I don't see something, let's say for the sake of argument, you're having a reading with me, and there is something that I intuitively see, that I clairvoyantly see, that I see in the cards, if I'm using cards, that I see in whichever divination system that I'm using, if it's not cards, and I don't see it with 100% clarity, I'm still going to tell you what it is. But I'm going to tell you, this is how much of a percentage I sense or see it. Because just because I don't sense it with 100% clarity doesn't mean that that I'm not supposed to tell you. Maybe I do need to tell you. Maybe I need to tell you this because I want you to know that I'm not getting it 100%. And maybe you need to use your own intuition on the matter. Although I will happily throw extra cards if I'm using cards or whichever divination system I'm using. Or I might even take another one out of the box or take another one out of the drawer, what have you, and consult that for extra clarity. But I'm not interested in making things up. I don't feel comfortable with that, number one. And number two, you know, I truly believe that clients need to follow their own divine guidance, especially when it comes to having a reading. Having a reading, what kind of reading, and when I say what kind of reading, I mean whether it's tarot, whether it's oracle cards, whether it's pendulum, whether it's palmistry, whether it's runes, whether it's clairvoyance, whether it's mediumship, how often and how much he or she or they feel comfortable spending. You know, those are decisions the client must make for oneself. I don't feel that I have the right to say to you, well, you should have a reading with me once a week. And I remember I used to give readings in a metaphysics store in Queens, in New York City. And I had a client who twice asked me, how often should I have a reading with you? The first time, she came by herself. The second time, she came with her daughter. And the two times that she had a reading with me, she gave me a love offering both times. That's how I prefer calling a tip, or referring to a tip. I call it a love offering. She asked me the same question, and I gave her the same answer. I said, I don't feel that it's appropriate for me or any other professional psychic to tell you how often to have a reading with me or with anybody else. I feel that it's important for you to follow your divine guidance. That was more than 10 years ago. I have neither seen nor heard from her since. And I will tell you that nobody is ever going to thank me for that. Nobody will ever thank me for having that level of integrity. And you know what? Yes, sometimes I'm a little miffed about that, but that's a reality too. Nobody's ever going to thank me for having integrity as a professional psychic. Nobody's ever going to thank me for that. And that's okay. That really is okay. But getting back to those of you who have been traumatized by a reading or by a professional psychic when you had a reading with that psychic, I feel that it's important for you to take extra special care of yourself. Acknowledge that there was a trauma. Acknowledge that you were hurt by it in some way. And, you know, I also feel the need to mention that I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, I have no degrees in psychiatry or in clinical psychology, but I feel this is a very important topic regardless. And I think that's why I need to do 3 videos on this. I feel very strongly that this is something that's important to acknowledge. And it's important for you, especially if you have been traumatized by a professional psychic when you had a reading with that professional psychic, to acknowledge that you experienced a trauma and to acknowledge what it was that traumatized you. Was it something that that psychic said or did or both? Was it something that he or she or they didn't explain correctly for you? Was it something that caused you to feel uncomfortable? Whatever it is, acknowledge it. And, you know, I am a firm believer that the converse is true. Meaning that there are some people that don't usually do well with having a reading. And I'd rather not give you examples right now, but I can think of 2 examples. One is a little more extreme than the other. But I think in the next video I'll share those examples. But I think that it's also important for you to look at what it is that you need to do to heal from that trauma. It could be psychological, meaning maybe you need to go to a therapist or a counselor or a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Maybe you need to go to a spirit therapist. Maybe you need to engage in some kind of some very deep healing work, whether it's ongoing Reiki treatments or energy healing modalities of other kinds like Rising Star Healing System or Vortex Healing or Karuna Ki Reiki or any other type of energy healing modality. It could be a combination of the 2. It could be something else entirely. It could be maybe going on a shamanic vision quest, or maybe doing something else. But whatever it is that you need to do to heal from that trauma, give yourself permission to start healing that. And I would like to point out that right now we are approaching the darkening tides. To me, the darkening tides are the 3 nights before the new moon. And as many of you know, the next new moon is also the same date as the upcoming solar eclipse, which is both a new moon in Leo and a solar eclipse in Leo, which is on Monday, August 21st, 2017. So I would say between tomorrow, which is Friday, August 18th, and the night of, or rather the night before, which would be Sunday, August 20th, 2017, do some very deep surrendering and releasing. One thing that's always worked very well for me, and I've talked about this in other videos, and I've even referenced this in other blog posts, is engaging in forgiveness work. I don't have an issue recommending shadow work, but for some reason lately, and even on YouTube, I've been hearing the phrase shadow work a little too often. And my concern is that the phrase shadow work is beginning to become overused without people having a full understanding of what it is. Now, I can tell you that I know, off the top of my head, I can think of at least 5 YouTube channel content creators that I have happily and lovingly acknowledged in one of my recent YouTube videos who have a very firm grasp of what shadow work is, and they can handle shadow work. So I'm not thinking about them. But for some reason, living in a city, but for some reason I think I've been hearing the phrase shadow work a little too often on YouTube, and I'm a little concerned that people are becoming a little inured by that. I don't know if inured is the right word, desensitized. Shadow work is very deep. Shadow work is very deep and it's very dark. It's not something that I recommend to the masses. You know, there is a reason why metaphysical studies were once referred to as esoteric. They were for the few. And sometimes I feel like I need to go back to being for the few. That's just a personal opinion on my part. And that's a whole other video, truth be told. But all in all, if you have been traumatized by a professional psychic, I do want you to know that we're not all the same. There are people that give readings professionally that are not out to traumatize you. They're not out to make you feel uncomfortable. They're not out to hurt you. And I'm gonna just put it out there and say that Avalon's Spiritual Odyssey is wondrous. Having a reading with her is a wondrous experience. V. Arwen Lynch, having a reading with her is also amazing. Owl Moon 513, having a reading with her is wonderful. And having a reading with Swan of Dreamers is outstanding. And having a reading, and I'm not sure if they give readings professionally, so I don't want to like open up a can of worms. But let's say for the sake of argument that they do happen to give readings professionally. My sense intuitively is that Two Spirit, Simon of Two Spirit, having a reading with him is outstanding. Having a reading with Readings by Veronica Rose is lovely. Having a reading with Jennifer Ball's Spiritual Garage is phenomenal. And I cannot think of who else off the top of my head gives readings professionally other than me. And I think that readings with me are quite a unique experience. I mentioned this in my recent July 2017 Black Mirror Salon thank you video. I have come to realize that when someone has a reading with me, it is a very empowering and enriching experience. And my intention is to remind that client that he or she or they is the biggest badass to ever walk the planet Earth. And I love that about my readings. I really love that about my readings. So that's that. So thank you, YouTube. Thank you so much for honoring who I am and what I do. Thank you so much for watching this video until the very end. I truly did not intend for it to be such a long video, but there was no way that I could cover everything I needed to cover, especially about the main points of this video, which is about clients having been traumatized by a professional psychic through a reading with said professional psychic. There's no way that I could cover that in 2 minutes or less. And to do that would be a humongous disservice, not only to everybody watching this video, but to me, to Swan of Dreamers, to every person who is a YouTube channel content creator who gives readings professionally, and especially to those of you watching who have been traumatized by a professional psychic during your reading with them. So, this was a multifaceted video. It needed to be as long as it was. And with that being said, I wish all of you many blessings, many gifts, many miracles. I do want to reassure you that something beautiful is on the horizon. And there you have it.